Welcome back to Bite-Sized Folklore, where we serve up strange tales in small portions. Just enough to make your day a little stranger. My name's Jodie, and today's story comes from the southeast of Ireland, from the shadowed graveyards of Waterford. It's a tale of beauty, betrayal, and blood. A story older than Dracula, older even than the word vampire itself. This is a legend of the Dearg-Due, Ireland's original vampire. Long ago, no one remembers when exactly, there lived a young woman in the lands near Strongbow's Tree, not far from Waterford. Her name has been lost to time, but the people said she was the most beautiful girl in the whole of Ireland. She had hair like harvest gold, her eyes like still water. Men came from miles around to court her, bringing gifts and promises. But she loved only one, a poor farmer's son, kind and gentle. He sang her songs by moonlight. Her father, however, he only saw gold, and he sold her hand to a rich old chieftain. Now this chieftain she absolutely despised. And her dad sold her to him in exchange for land and cattle. On the day of her wedding, the girl's tears fell onto her white dress like rain. And that night, as the drunken feast went on, she walked into the dark fields and was never seen alive again. There were rumours that she took her own life because of heartbreak. Other people claimed her new husband beat her to death in a rage. But whatever happened, she was buried beneath the cold earth near the churchyard at Waterford. Her soul restless, her love unfinished. Years later, strange things began to happen. A grave was found disturbed, the soil loose, the coffin lid splintered. And in the nights that followed, villagers whispered of a pale woman seen wandering among the tombs. Her skin was white, whiter than you could imagine, and her eyes were red as blood. Men who had once wronged her, her father, her husband, even the priest who blessed the cursed marriage, they were all found dead, and each had the same mark on his throat. The people named her Dearg-Due, from the Irish Dearg meaning red, and Due meaning blood, the red bloodsucker. They said she rose every year from her grave to feed, a revenant driven by sorrow and vengeance, and that no crucifix nor prayer could stop her. Unlike the vampires of later fiction, the Dearg-Due didn't come from distant castles or wear velvet cloaks. She rose from Ireland's own soil, a creature born of injustice, grief, and hunger for love that was denied. In old Irish folklore, the boundary between life and death was thin, thinner still on Samhain, when spirits could cross the veil. The Dearg-Due belonged to that world, not a demon, not a witch, but something caught a little bit in between. People began to leave stones piled upon her grave, believing the weight could keep her down. Every year before Samhain they added more, and more, and more, a cairn of warning and protection. But if anyone forgot, the earth was said to stir. Fathers warned their daughters not to stray too far from the hearth on the moonless nights. Lovers avoided the churchyard after dusk, and if a pale woman called your name from the shadows, you ran, no matter how sweet she sounded. Centuries later, writers rediscovered her story. Some say she inspired Sheridan Le Fanu's Camilla, Ireland's other vampire tale, also written decades before Dracula. And it's no wonder. The Dearg-Due is the perfect dark mirror to the romantic vampire myth. She doesn't charm or seduce for sport. She haunts for justice. She kills the powerful who took her power. Her hunger is not for blood alone, it's for balance. In that way, she's closer to the older Celtic spirits of vengeance, like the Banshee or the Cailleach's ghosts. Much closer to them than to the elegant vampires of Victorian imagination. Some people still say her grave lies beneath the ruins of Strongbow's Tree, outside Waterford. On quiet nights, some claim they've seen a little flicker of light there, or heard footsteps circling the mound. And every few years, someone disturbs the stones. Not on purpose, maybe just curious, maybe careless. And afterward, they say the nights feel colder, the wind sharper, the dreams much stranger. Perhaps it's only coincidence. Or perhaps Ireland's red bloodsucker still waits beneath that cairn, watching for the moment the last stone is moved. Folklorists often describe the Dearg-Due as Ireland's first vampire. But if you listen closely, she's not just a monster. She's a story about power, punishment, and the cost of forgetting the dead. Every culture invents creatures to explain its grief. The Irish gave us the banshee's cry, a voice of warning, and the Dearg-Due, a hand from the grave, demanding remembrance. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Bite Size Folklore. If you enjoyed today's tale, share it with someone who loves old myths, or who thinks that they've heard every vampire story that there is.